Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. Today I'm with a familiar guest of the channel and the platform. He is Walla. He is the undefeated professional mixed martial artist, Mr. Malcolm Wellmaker. Malcolm, what's going on, brother? What are you doing on this Saturday?
Man, getting ready to go to the gym. Same old, man. We're getting closer to the fight. So just some flow, going through the motions and stuff today. Keeping the mindset sharp, polishing up the reactions, man, and getting ready to coast into the fight week soon.
So August 27th, fighting Dana White Contender Series. For the past couple years, we have talked about it a lot in these interviews I've done with you about fighting to go to the UFC, find the contender, make an Ultimate Fighter. Well, a couple months ago, you found out the opportunity's coming. You're taking on Adam Bramhold on the 27th, Tuesday, August 27th, Las Vegas, Nevada, the Apex Center. Knowing that you're only about 2.5 weeks away, what's the mindset like for you right now, my man?
Man, I think a lot of the build up to the fight was, celebrating the level of fight platform that we've made it to. The cameras, the ESPN, the Dana White, the UFC possibilities. So much of the build up has been, a celebration of that. But now that I'm getting closer to the fight, man, I'm starting to feel like I feel anytime I'm about to fight, and that's ready to go to war, man. Ready to go take this guy's soul. Ready to make it ugly. And be the better guy walking out with my hand raised. So the closer I get, man, the less all the extra stuff matters, and the more only competition and fighting matters to me.
No, we haven't really talked about it too much. Your last fight, NFC, you took on Chase Boutwell. Really an amazing performance from you. You struggled a little bit there in that first round. You battled through some adversity. He was taking advantage of his wrestling. He was using it to his strengths there. That second round, you stood up with him. You found some separation. You hit him with a hook that was so fast. The broadcast even picked it up. He dropped right away. Walk me through that, in that second round. When did you see the opening to land that shot?
Yeah, man. So like you said, the first round I struggled a bit, and I wouldn't even necessarily say it was like a struggle because of a skill difference or anything like that, but he was just super good at getting in and making me work to get out. And I think his game plan was to make me wrestle and make me wrestle. Obviously, he wanted to take me down, but if he couldn't, I thought that, he was aiming to make me wrestle and make my striking less dangerous. But I think it worked against him a little bit. I think it took out of his gas tank as well. I think it kind of drained him. So in the second round, it slowed down a little bit, and I started to actually get time to start working my setups. And honestly, man, it was just all off of the jab. My whole first round, I was looking for the jab. He entered under my jab to get to my leg, and then the second round, he was a little less, aggressive with his reactions, and so he was responding to my jab with striking responses. And once I had him set up, man, I knew what he was going to do, and then I sent the jab and followed it up with a right hand and hit the spot.
Following the win, at that point, did you think you did enough to get the Contender Series?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When I fought Taylor Moore, because Taylor Moore was my fight before that, and he came all the way from Michigan. He had fought on Contender Series before. And when I beat him, I almost thought I did enough, and I was super hopeful. But when I realized I didn't after Taylor Moore, my mindset shifted and my expectations adjusted. And I kind of just didn't tie myself to, a phone call, waiting for a phone call after I won a fight, whether it was by a knockout or not. So I felt like, I had done enough already, but I necessarily didn't get my hopes too high because I knew I might have to grind a little bit more. So yeah, I say I felt like I did it, but I didn't get my hopes too high.
Now, do you remember where you were when you got the phone call, email, text that you were going to be in the Contender Series?
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was. I was on the way home from work, man. I still had my work clothes on, and I was pulling into my neighborhood, and my manager FaceTimed me. And usually, Jason, he'll text me or something or give me a heads up if he's gonna need to call me or something. But he just FaceTimed me out the blue. So I was curious, I was wondering what it was about, and he dropped the bomb on me, man. And it was a emotional moment, man. It was major. It was a beautiful phone call, man. I got a screenshot of my phone of us on the FaceTime call when he gave me the news, man. It was incredible, man.
Obviously, Jason House, huge name in mixed martial arts, Iridium. You joined them, I think, a couple years ago, a year and a half ago now, if I'm not mistaken. What has it been like to be under a group such as Iridium?
Man, Iridium and Jason House, ever since I started working with these guys, man, my career has changed dramatically. And my experience with bringing on somebody else into my team that actually is helping me in more ways than one has been crazy, man. I mean, these guys, I got a list of guys from that agency that I can call or text at any time of the day, man, and they get back to me and they do everything in their power to make sure that I got what I need. And I mean, that's whether it's fight shorts, fight gear, questions about, anything fighting, financial, everything, man. I can call these dudes and on the drop of a dime, man, they're going to do what they have to do to help me. And, when I went to Vegas to do my pre-shoots for the Contender series, man, he came and he picked me up in his own car, introduced me to Diego Lopez, took us all out to dinner, paid for the food. I mean, incredible dude, man, solid dude. And, like I said, he'll pick up the phone anytime I call him. If I text him, bro, he's texting back immediately, man. It's insane, man. They're great people, and Jason House has changed my life and changed my career.
I know you've been already able to be in contact with a couple UFC guys throughout your journey here. Obviously, Diego Lopez just mentioned, you got to eat with him. Brandon Royval, another guy who's hitting you up on Instagram. What is it like to be able to talk with those dudes, knowing that, they're there, they're in the UFC, they've made some names for themselves, they're pretty high up there in the rankings. What is it like to be able to maybe learn from them, ask them some questions?
Man, it's surreal, man, to see these guys, showing me love. And Brandon Royval, he comments on a lot of my stuff and he'll DM me, and he shows that he thinks that, I have potential and that I can accomplish some things on the same platform that he is. And it's mind blowing, man. It's humbling, but it's also very motivational because it makes you want to take that belief that they have in you, that support that they're showing you, and turn it into real time accomplishments. So it's great, man. And like I said, Jason House, he's my tie-in point to a lot of these guys that I've met. And it's awesome, man. I can't wait to go and fight on these platforms and be alongside these guys that I admire.
So you made your name on the regional scene. You did really well here in the Southeast, the different regional promotions. And then when you made your pro debut, when you went on the pro route, you got to fight for another former UFC guy, Mr. Jorge Masvidal. You got to do some things on Icon. Huge wins, big win over Langston Sykes, big win over Chris Wingate. And, I really feel like those performances really allowed the MMA community to know who Malcolm Wellmaker is, and the rest is kind of spoken for itself. But what do you say to a guy like Jorge Masvidal? What does that guy mean to you?
Man, Jorge Masvidal is a very special, person. The route that his life took to get him to the UFC, the way his career, just exploded the way it did with, the need of Ben Askren and like all the success after the BMF titles. And like, also he's one of those people who have that, genuine, authentic persona that you can't imitate and people love and respect or hate it about him. But somebody like that, man, is somebody that is going to forever be remembered in the fighting community for what they did and how they did it. And, I was in middle school in the library on computers watching him and Kimbo Slice, in backyard fights. So to go from that to be in front of him, shaking his hand, to fighting in front of him and, him showing me love is crazy, man. It's like really seeing, somebody that you thought was bigger than life as a child come and show you love when you're an adult and tell you you're gonna be a superstar. Like, I've heard those words out of his mouth. It's insane. So yeah, it's another one of those things that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, and every day I look back on it and I'm just grateful that I was able to experience it.
So it's kind of funny. First time I ever watched you fight live, I think was 2 years ago today, or 2 years ago yesterday, Savannah, Georgia, when you took on Langston Sykes.
Yeah.
Huge victory. Big knockout. After it, kind of cool moment. You hop over, you talk to Jorge Masvidal, and he just whips out $10 $100 bills.
That's right.
We talked about it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But what was your mind like in that moment?
So that moment was crazy because, I'm fighting on UFC Fight Pass for the first time. Like none of my teammates have ever fought on UFC Fight Pass. So I'm fighting on UFC Fight Pass. Jorge Masvidal's right there, and I'm hoping I do good. I'm wanting to impress him, but I go and get like this insane viral first round knockout, and then I jump the cage. I go dap him up, and next thing I know, he's pulling out money. Like it was so much for my brain to process. Like I was out of my body, man. Like I can't even put into words what that experience was like, because like all the things I just said before about who he was and how long I had been watching him and how I was just, blown away with the opportunity I had for it to go as good as it did. And all these special moments with, the cage hop, the money and everything, man, it was insane. It was like a dream. It still felt like a dream. I look back at it and it's like, I can't believe it all happened the way that it did. But yeah, man, he pulled out $1,000 cash and I just handed it to my coach. I didn't even know how much money it was. I didn't know what was going on, man. I was just over the moon, man. It was incredible.
Obviously, that contest was so impressive. It really showcased your striking. It showcased the unbelievable power that you possess. But I think, in my opinion, even more impressive is what you did a couple months after when you took on Christopher Wingate, again for Icon in Savannah. We got to see that you're a complete mixed martial artist. We got to see the wrestling. If I remember correctly, I think you dropped them. You were able to take them down. You finished them with the submission. You can do this standing. You can use your wrestling. You can use your jiu-jitsu, man. You don't really have too many holes in your game. At what point in your career was Jake and Pops really chirping to you and saying that, hey, we need to make you as well-rounded as possible?
It was, pretty early on in my career, I'm going to be honest, for like the first year of me competing, they wouldn't let me do MMA. They only let me do kickboxing because I wasn't showing up to wrestling classes. I wasn't showing up to jiu-jitsu classes. And eventually when I became somewhat consistent with those classes, they let me fight an MMA fight. That was my amateur MMA debut. And coincidentally, it was against a guy who had won a state championship in wrestling before. And, this is back when I was fighting at 125. I was a little bit smaller. But I knocked this dude out with an uppercut in the first round. So my attendance in wrestling classes immediately drops off because I think I don't need it, And so, I continue doing pretty good. I'm winning more fights. And my attendance is still spotty with my wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And then I experienced my very first loss back in my fourth amateur fight. I was 3-0 at the time. I went to fight a guy that was a really good wrestler as well. He held me down for a lot of the fight. I couldn't get up. And then third round, I made a mistake and I got armbarred. Hometown show, man, getting finished in front of so many of my friends and family, it hurt. And so that was when we took a step back and we had a conversation and we really started dialing in a consistent schedule and really, really focusing on improving those areas that needed that improvement. And so, to be honest, it's been a long, long road of developing those skill sets. It's not something that I recently jumped in or recently started developing right before I went pro. It was a hurdle that we started, approaching a while ago in my amateur career. And over the course of the years, we've gotten it to a point that we feel fairly confident in.
I've developed a philosophy that some fighters agree with, some fighters don't agree with, but I truly believe if you want to fight in the UFC, if you want to fight in the PFLs, to really take that next step, you need experience defeat. Obviously, you did it early in your amateur career. Looking on everything now, are you in a way grateful that you have experienced that defeat to allow yourself what it feels like and to hopefully never go back there?
Absolutely, man. And with that being said, like I said, I did some kickboxing matches. So I lost my very first fight in a kickboxing match against a guy that was a workhorse, man. His cardio was insane. His name is Walter McCord. He's known for running 11 miles a day at 7 minute paces. He's insane. And so when I lost to him, I became a friend of his and I learned a lot about work ethic. I learned a lot about discipline. and it changed the game for me. And then when I went and I lost my first MMA fight, you know, it taught me a lot too. You know, it humbles you and makes you face the facts that, you know, success doesn't necessarily reinforce. So both of the losses that I experienced changed the way that I approach training and changed the way that I fight in the cage for the better. And without them, I don't think I'd be the martial artist I am today for sure.
You know, this whole world of mixed martial arts and combat sports has changed so much over the years. I mean, you know, I think how it's supposed to be, you know, it's about respect, love, loyalty. Those are values of being a mixed martial artist. Today, man, you see a lot of the personality taking over, where people are trying to put on personas and be characters. I really feel like your gym does a wonderful job of embodying and trying to instill the principles of what a true mixed martial art is. You know, Faglers is a family. I mean, I've seen it. I've been able to interview a bunch of you guys. You have it tattooed on you. I mean,
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. That's right.
What has that gym meant for you? Obviously, there's some people in there that are huge to you. Obviously, your coach, Jake's dad, Jake Sr., you call Pops.
Yeah,
what
does
that mean to you?
Man, they're a real family to me, man. Pops is a real father figure to me. Jake and Joel, Quincy, they are real brothers to me. Terrence, real brothers to me. Like, and when I say that, man, it's no shortage in the expression. Like, I mean, these guys have helped me out of dark places in my life. Like, I've been training with the same gym for 7 years now. So, like, for 7 years, you can imagine that everybody experiences some hardships in their life. So over the course of 7 years, man, I've been through some tough stuff, man. And they've loved me throughout all of it. You know, when I was right, when I was wrong, when I needed somebody to go above and beyond for me, they always did it, man. I could give example on example, man. I mean, financial. I mean, you know, needing love, needing somebody to talk to, needing somebody to whatever it is you can imagine you went through in the last 7 years, I went through it, and they was right there beside me. So they're incredible to me. And before I met them, man, there was a lot of things I didn't have in my life. I didn't have self-belief. I didn't have somebody make me believe I could accomplish something great. You know, and all that really came from the relationship I had with them, man. It changed my life. It changed who I am. And the person that's in front of y'all would not be here in any way, shape, or form, you know, had I not met these guys and they did for me what they did.
You know, you mentioned that you've overcome a lot of things in your life. You've been through your struggles, you've been through your challenges. Do you think if it wasn't for MMA, you'd be at a totally different point in your life right now?
Oh, 100%. Like it's not even a question, man. You know, I look at my life, where I'm at right now, the things I'm doing with my time, my energy, you know, and I compare it to where I was at before I started fighting, and a lot of the people I was around before I started fighting, and we all are in completely different places in our life. And without MMA, without the Fagler family around me, you know, I can't say that I would have ever gotten, you know, to this point as an athlete for sure, and especially as a man. I've learned so much. I've developed so much inside and outside the gym because of my decision to, you know, pursue fighting and being lucky enough to fall into the gym that I fell into.
You know, you're a top prospect in the sport. People are starting to know who you are. You're starting to get a lot of attention. You're a type of guy, you could go to any gym at this point if you want to. If you wanted to go to America Top Team, if you want to go to AKA, I'm sure they would take you. But the fact of being loyal with Faglers, a place that's done so much for you, the relationships you develop with those guys, is it even a thought to try to go somewhere else?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question, man, because when, like I said, nobody in my gym has accomplished the things I've accomplished. And even when I fought on UFC Fight Pass as a 1-0 pro, that was something that never happened outside of my gym. You know, the only pro we had before me was Pops and Jake. And so I went through accomplishing things that nobody in my gym ever accomplished. And you can imagine the people that came to me saying they could do this for me, saying they could do that for me, saying that if I go here, they'll have me in the UFC doing this. You know, if I go and invest in this program with these guys, relocate here, like they could promise me all these things. And I'd be lying if I told you that sometimes I didn't let those thoughts get in my head. But the beauty of it is, man, when I had these things happen, I went to Jake, I went to Pops, I went to Joel. I told them, I said, hey, man, like, you know, these guys are putting these things in my ear, you know, and I'm feeling conflicted because they say they have this to offer and we've never accomplished this. We don't have this in our program. They say they got this. And I'm like, how do I know, like, you know, we gonna get where we going? Like, how do I know, like, we can compete with these guys on this level? And I sat down, I listened to what they said, and I had faith. And loyalty has always been a big thing to me, but to go through these tests of my loyalty, when my biggest dreams was being offered and promised to me by people that were credible, it feels amazing, man. Like, the dream of being able to know that I actually will be putting Jake and Pops and Joel in Venom sweatsuits is insane. You know, they picked up a guy with zero experience, literally zero combat sports experience. I had never been to a boxing gym. I had never been to a grappling class or nothing. They picked me up 7 years ago, and today we are flying out to Vegas in 2 weeks, and we're going to be on ESPN Plus fighting for a contract in front of Dana White. I mean, it's a fairy tale story that, you know, some people, most people will never be able to say, you know, they did that and displayed such like faith and loyalty in their team and their family. And I'll go to the grave content with my decision to do that and make it to where I made it with the people I did it with.
What would have you said 7 years ago? Someone told you you're going to be fighting on the Dana White Contender Series.
I'd have thought I was drunk. If somebody told me 7 years ago, you're going to be fighting in front of Dana White, you know, with a contract on the line, I'd be like, who told you that? Like, you know what I mean? But, you know, also I remember 7 years ago when I first started training, I remember Pops showed his phone to me. It was a picture of Benson Henderson. He said, you can look like this. And, you know, he ripped up and he in shape. He got, you know, his fight gear on. And I'm like, I don't even know what the dude is, but I'm like, I want to look like him. So, you know, I wouldn't have believed it, but, you know, look at where we at now, you know.
You know, that gym is really blowing up. You know, obviously you're doing great things. You're going to fight for a UFC contract. But, you know, as I've been able to cover you guys got some killers, man. I mean, Quincy is a dude probably going to turn pro here really soon. Absolutely killing it on the amateur circuit. Joel Fagler is a guy who's #1 amateur heavyweight prospect in the continent. No one wants to fight this guy.
Yeah, tell me about
the hardest time trying to find a fight of any other mixed martial artist on the planet at this point.
Man.
You know, and then you even look at some of the younger guys and girls, you know, with Kristen and, you know, Amanda Andrews, and you have Axel, and you have Terrence, and you have Andrew. I mean, you really look at this, and it's unbelievable to see the talents there. And it's even crazier when you think if these fighters remain on this trajectory, there's a chance Fagler's MMA in 4 or 5 years might have 3 or 4, maybe even 5 UFC fighters, PFL.
Yes.
Are you just anticipating in the near future for this gym to really be recognized as one of the biggest in the Southeast?
No, absolutely. It's no debate about it. If you want to talk about the local scene, you know, since I've been an amateur, you know, we've been dominating local scenes. You know, we got belts on belts on belts racked up on our wall between me, Joel, Kirsten, Jake, Quincy. I mean, it's so many belts just between us that we racked up on the local scene. So it was a long time ago where we believed that, you know, for the radius of our area, we were going to be accomplishing some great things and producing an incredible reputation. But now, you know, I feel like what I'm doing is like almost running the first 4-minute mile. Like once one person does it, like everybody else knows it can be done. You know what I mean? So everybody coming behind me is going to accomplish what I'm doing and more, like no doubt about it. And, you know, sometimes me and my gym would talk about it and we would say, you know, we feel like we're going to be the next City Kickboxing where, you know, at one point nobody knew who they was. And now they're producing multiple champions and multiple high level fighters and their name is good as gold. You know, I really think that's in the cards for us. And in only a matter of years, anybody in the MMA community will know who we are and our work will speak for itself.
I had the opportunity to go to the Conflict Augusta show a few weeks ago. Saw you. My first time going to that show. 10 of your teammates were fighting on the card. It was absolutely crazy. And, you know, it really allowed me to think, You know, you went from there a few years ago, experiencing your first amateur loss in front of that crowd. You know, since then you found victory there. You've done well in the pro scene. You've got the call from Dana White that you're going to be in the Contender Series. You know, when I was there, I mean, I would have, if I didn't know you, I would have thought you were John Jones there. I mean, everything you. I mean, the Malcolm Wellmaker fan base was absolutely freaking crazy. And, you know, I can even see, you know, you've adapted to that role of being someone, you know, people look up to. You're very gracious with your time with everyone. There's a lot of people that you inspire, especially some of these younger fighters. Now, with everything that you've accomplished and what you're setting out to accomplish in the future, you know, what is it like to be at shows like that in Augusta?
Man, it's great. You know, I feel, you know, really fortunate to be at the place I am in life with the things that I believe are coming to me. And the reason I say that is because, you know, I could imagine if I accomplished some of these things before I became who I am today, and I wouldn't have done it the same way I'm doing it now. You know, I wouldn't make as much time as I make for people. I wouldn't, you know, put as much emphasis on trying to inspire the next generation. And one of the things I'm most excited about is when I accomplish this, what I can do with it for the people in my community and to uplift the community itself, man. It's gonna be an amazing thing, man. Like I want to give back. I want to, you know, touch the hands of a lot of people in my community, the younger generation. You know, I want to contribute, man. And I love it. I love seeing how much people get inspiration from what I've done. I love how much people resonate with my message. And I love how me being myself is something that people love about me. So it's been good, man. I've been grateful for the opportunity and super excited for the way I'm gonna be able to use it to give back and just really spread love throughout the place that I live in, and that's Augusta, Georgia.
You know, one of my main goals as an MMA journalist is to tell the story of fighters for, you know, the public to see the reality of this. Because I feel like, you know, so many people watch the UFC and it's amazing. The sport has blown up so much. You watch the UFC, you see these guys, you see the fame, you see the glory, and they're like, oh, what a great lifestyle. Wow, this guy's king. Little do they know what they went through to get there. And, you know, there are sacrifices that need to be made to get to be a basketball player, football player, hockey player, whatever. But I don't think there's any other sacrifice like trying to be a professional mixed martial artist, because, I mean, this is absolutely crazy. I mean, when you're battling it out on the amateur scene, obviously you're not making any money there. A lot of guys have jobs. A lot of guys have kids. You know, you have to get punched in the face, put up with all the nonsense in the gym, you know, pay money just to try to fight on the amateur scene. You turn pro, well, you're not a millionaire yet either. I mean, you told me how much you make on some of these promotions, and, you know, it is not a lot of money. You know, I mean, it's okay. You get by, do what you can, but you're a pipe fitter. I mean, you work very long hours, hard work, very blue collar lifestyle. You get up early, you bust your ass at the job site, you come back, maybe take a shower, maybe take a nap for 30 minutes. You go train for 3 hours with a bunch of killers. You get home around 10 o'clock. Then you have to get up at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
How have you stayed with it to this point, and just knowing that this is about to happen for you, that you're about to fight for a contract in the UFC? You know, what's going through your head? What is your thoughts on all this?
Yeah. You know, that's really a question I get from a lot of guys, you know, will comment on my content and they'll tell me, like, you know, how do you do it? How do you find a way to go work and then, you know, finish working and go and train? And like, these guys are asking these questions, and I feel like majority of them really don't understand the intensity behind the type of work I do, you know, in my day job, and then understand the intensity of the level of training that I experience as well. And then, I mean, you painted it perfectly. You know, I'm not leaving the gym until around 10 o'clock at night. I get home, I got to shower, I got to eat and try to get some rest. And like you said, I'm right back up at 5 in the morning to do it all again. You know, to be real, in the beginning, it was me trying to develop the discipline, and it was done over time. I wasn't training 7 days a week when I was early in the Amis. I started because I was actually, okay, so I started my apprenticeship in 2015, and in my apprenticeship I had to go to school 2 nights a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, which was actually our MMA and grappling days. And then I'd go and train Tuesdays and Thursdays, which was our kickboxing days, which is why my kickboxing got so good. So for, 3 years of my entry to training, I was doing school 2 nights a week. I was doing my kickboxing classes 2 nights a week. And then I try to hit an open mat on the weekends and maybe some conditioning on my own time. And I wasn't checking every box every week, but, over the course of time, I started to, and I remember when I finished my apprenticeship in 2020, I sat down and I talked to Jake and I told him, I said, hey, bro, I'm finally done with my apprenticeship. I can train all 4 classes throughout the course of the week, Monday through Thursday. And that's what I started doing. You know what I mean? And like I said, it wasn't 100% every time, but over the course of time, that discipline continually develops. And I got a strong team around me too, man. Like when I go to the gym, yeah, the training's hard, but these guys are like therapy. You know what I mean? The gym is like therapy to me. This is my family. We laugh, we joke, we cry together. That heat that's on my chest. Instead of going to sleep with it, I can let them know what it is, and I can get it off, and I can feel better. So like discipline for sure. I wouldn't have been able to do it without discipline. But my gym being therapy for me, my team being brothers for me, that helped me a lot too. And Mike Tyson says it a lot too. This is a quote I got from him, but he says, confidence breeds success and success breeds confidence. So the more things that I started to achieve, the more success I started to experience, the more confident I became in my ability to go places. And that drove me to go even harder, And so nowadays, yeah, I work, 4 or 5 days a week, 10-hour shifts. But I train 7 days a week. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If I don't train 7 days a week, it's because I physically couldn't. But at this point, like you said, I'm fighting for my contract that changed my life. So, I wanted that bad to where I sacrificed nearly everything in front of me to make sure that I can be in the best position to succeed and make that happen. So it's tough.
Were there any points in your career where the sacrifices maybe felt so overwhelming that you considered maybe giving up on this?
100%. 100%. Like I said, it's 7 years of this, 7 years of work, train, and be tired all the time. I'm tired all the time. And after I have a fight, and I win, I got teammates fighting too. I got to be right back in the gym the next week, if I'm physically capable, so I've been tired for 7 years between work and training and fighting. And for majority of those years, 5 of those years, I was fighting amateur, not getting paid a dime. I was taking trips out of town, losing money. And, even in the pros, like we said, I make these trips and I come back with a couple $100 in my pocket. But it's not like, if you don't experience a moment where you want to quit because it seems so difficult and it seems like such an uphill battle, they say you're not shooting for the stars, you're not aiming high enough. And I've experienced it multiple times. It's only natural. But I stuck to my guns, man, and I'm glad I did because that's the only way I was able to get to where I'm at today.
Now, what are the thoughts of some of your coworkers at work, knowing that you're a professional fighter, and when you show them some of these knockouts that you've been able to achieve in your career?
Yeah. So I'm a union pipe fitter, man. So our local union, that we have in the city, man, all the pipe fitters, man, love me, and I love them. UA Local 150 pipe fitters, welders, man. Look, anytime I fought in the city, half my fan base that came to the fights wearing my shirts, front row, VIP, pipe fitters, construction workers, man, because these guys know what a work day looks like for us. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys understand what a 5-year apprenticeship is like. I know a lot of guys that drop off throughout the 5-year apprenticeship that was only trying to do the apprenticeship. They weren't trying to do the apprenticeship and fight, so like these guys watch me go from a first-year apprentice to, being a 3rd-year apprentice and competing locally as an amateur to turning out, finishing my apprenticeship and becoming a professional athlete. And these guys watch me grow. You know, they watch my success from zero, and they are absolutely inspired and 100% supportive of it, man. My local union has sponsored me for multiple fights. Every fight I've had fights in Atlanta. These guys load up and they come and watch my fights, man. And they in the crowd cutting up like construction workers should, you know. So, man, look, local 150 pipe fitters, all my construction hands, my blue collar guys, man. Look, I love y'all so much because we really, really share this success on a personal level.
Now, you've been able to put through some amazing performances, some amazing knockouts. Not sure if anyone's ever asked you this question, but let's play a little game. Let's play Malcolm Wellmaker's top 3 knockouts in his career. If you had to pick, who is in your top 3 of your most favorite finishes?
Of that, my fights?
Your fights, your favorite 3 knockouts only, not subs, just knockouts.
Yeah. So this one is throwback, but if you go watch my very first amateur MMA fight, I fought Will Spann. Man, I hit him with an uppercut so sick. I hit him with an uppercut and his body went limp. And the ref hadn't stopped it yet. And I couldn't ground and pound to the face in Georgia yet. So I walked up on him and I just hit him with a standing punch to his body. And the ref stopped it then. I mean, he was completely out. And that was my very first amateur MMA fight ever in Augusta, Georgia. I had shin pads on and everything, bro. But it is one of the most sick, disgusting knockouts with an uppercut ever, man. That's probably my favorite one. Obviously, my next one would be Icon FC, you know, my Langston Sykes knockout, man. I knocked that dude out, and I made him do a spin on the way to the ground. MMA Fighting posted it. Jorge Masvidal gave me a cash bonus about it. Absolutely insane. And if I had to say another one, man, Justin Hughes, bro, he was a really good fight. You know, he was 4-4 at the time when I fought him professionally, but he had never been finished before, and he also beat Junior Cortez in a fight. You know, so at the time, that was a big step up for me. You know, from fighting the guys I was fighting in the pros to going to fighting him, and I knocked him out with a hook that made him stumble. And on his way down, I hit him with another one. And it was in Augusta, and the crowd went, wow, man. That was insane, bro. So, yeah, man. First one, Will Spann. Next one, Langston Sykes. And then my last one was Justin Hughes, man. All absolutely devastating knockouts, which you can find on my highlight reel on YouTube. You can check it out, man. Killer knockouts.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Justin Hughes talking mad smack in the weigh-ins before that?
Listen, bro, Justin Hughes, he's got a persona. I don't know if he was, you know, trying to pump himself up or what, but, you know, we went to the face-offs at the weigh-ins, the public weigh-ins. They gave him the mic, man, and he came out. He was like, I came all the way here to slain these mofos. Like, you know what I mean? He didn't say mofos. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, he came like he was like that. And then when he walked out to the cage in my city, he had a ski mask on. Like, it was, look, he came out here for problems, you know what I mean? And he got them. So that was a fun fight, man. It was incredible, man. In the hometown, it was sick. I'm glad he brought that energy, man. The crowd loved it.
So for me personally, I'm in agreement on your list, except for the third one. I think Will Spann, number 1. That's my boy, Buford guy. Hate that he did it to him, but it's history. Number 2, Langston Sykes. Number 3, I'd go Chase Boutwell. Just going through the adversity, landing the shot out of nowhere, knowing it got you where you're about to go to now. I don't know, but I don't think you can go either wrong with switch.
Yeah, for sure. It was a pivotal moment in my career. And then on top of that, like, anybody that's in tune with the local scene and knows who Chase Boutwell is, knows that was a hard fight. That was a tough fight. I mean, his amateur career was insane. You're talking about like almost like 11-0. It was crazy. He trains at, you know, a very respected academy, Rush MMA, with incredible coaches and teammates, and was touted as one of the best prospects in the area. He's also signed to Iridium. I mean, so that tells you, like, he's legit. And leading into this fight, man, it was a toss-up amongst the local supporters who they thought would win and how they thought we would win. You know, and respectfully, they thought not only could he wrestle better than me, they thought that he could strike better than me, or at least strike with me. So yeah, that meant a lot to me, to not just beat him, but knock him out devastatingly and changed my career. You know, I got the phone call right after that fight. So that you might be convincing me to change my last pick too. But it was crazy.
Let's see if you're in agreement with me on these other ones. If I go Malcolm Wellmaker, fight of the year, fight of the night, fight of the career, Taylor Moore. I think one.
Easy.
I don't think you
5 rounds. Yeah, easy. That's, 5 rounds of, you go back and watch it, we were both on the gas the whole time. We were both absolutely unbreakable, man.
Yes, we're slipping all over the place too.
It would get, oh my, look, the canvas was slippery. They wasn't maintaining it. And I mean, we was just falling all over the place, compromised position multiple times. I got kneed in the face while I was on the ground, took a point from him. Absolute roller coaster. And after that fight happened, it was months. I mean, months. I was going to local shows and people were saying how incredible of a fight that was. It was insane. If my fight on the Contender Series is half as hard as that, I'd be lucky. You know what I'm saying? That fight was insane, bro. Insane, man.
And I think you'd have to go submission of Malcolm Wellmaker's career to the Chris Wingate fight.
Yeah, 100%. I dropped him with the head kick. And that was after, I touched him a lot on the feet, got to the ground, floated, and he gave up the neck, man. That was a beautiful one, man. Great performance. And I was glad to be able to go out there and do that in front of Jorge Masvidal for a second time.
All right, so we've been teasing it for about 40 minutes, but let's talk about the Dana White Contender Series fight. You're taking on Adam Bramhold, a guy that has done some big things. 13-2 fighter, has some experience on the pro side, racked up a lot of wins. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
I think Adam Bramhold, for sure, is one of the most confident guys I'm going to fight in his skill set. He's really, really confident and really, really good on the feet, man. He has a comfort there that not a lot of guys have, so I think that it's going to be a very interesting fight, given the fact that I have that same confidence. You know what I mean? I don't see myself not wanting to strike with this guy, even if I can take him down and put him on his back and make it an easier fight. I mean, we fighting in front of Dana White. We fighting for a contract. And that's what I do. I strike. I put hands on people. So I'm really excited about this fight, and I'm really excited to test myself against somebody that's known as being a polished striker, a clean striker, and that being their bread and butter. He's got a style that he mixes in a lot of his different strikes very well. He's got a couple dangerous tools. So I think it's going to be a challenging fight. I think it's going to be a puzzle that I'm going to have to solve. But ultimately, I think it's one that I'm finishing a knockout.
All these fights on the Contender Series, it's an interesting phenomenon when you really think about it. You guys are both trying to do the same thing. You both have a shared dream. And unfortunately, in the fight business, one guy wins most of the time and one guy loses. Knowing that, he's going out there, he's training, he's making all these sacrifices to try to take everything that you want away from you, given everything you've been through, all the sacrifices, all the training, work, all the struggles in life. Does that give you the extra motivation of, we could be friends after this, but right now I'm taking you out in any way possible?
Absolutely, man. I can't speak for everybody, but, speaking for myself, bro, I'm a huge Mike Tyson fan. I love, the way he approaches fighting. I love the way he can flip this killer mentality. And I myself am the same way, man. When it really comes down to it, when it really comes to us competing against each other, it really becomes a dark thing for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm in there. I'm using my my head, my brain, my mind to make sure I control my emotions. It's not like I'm going in there and just, trying to bring as much pain as possible. But I'm in a killer mindset. I'm in a mindset. I mean, you can go back and look at my fights, man. I knock dudes out cold and I don't stop until the ref gets between us. So that's the kind of mindset that I'm into when I'm competing against this guy. And it's not anything personal, it doesn't matter who it is that's in there with me, but it's either me or you. And like you said, for this one, man, I'm fighting to change my life. I'm really fighting to accomplish something bigger than anybody I've known personally to do. So when it comes to face off and I look him in his eyes and I get to feel his energy, I get to let him know how I feel about it. It's gonna be dark, and when I compete, it's gonna be exactly like that until the ref comes between us to stop the competition and I've got what I wanted.
If this stands on the feet in the first round, is there no way that this goes past the first round?
Yeah, nah. The only way it doesn't get out in the first round if he stands and bangs with me. I highly doubt it. Shots are gonna land, man. There's no doubt about it. If we strike with one another, shots are gonna land. I'm not saying he's not gonna touch me, but I'm gonna touch him as well. And there's been very few people that I put my hands on the way I want to that have, not gone down and gotten finished because of it. So if he really is the confident striker that he presents himself to be, if he really, really comes into that cage and does what he says he's going to do, and that's use his hands, it won't make it out the first. I bet the house on it.
Throughout your journey here in combat sports, you really found yourselves with MMA. You found a family. You found a father figure in Pops. You've been through ups and downs. You've worked your ass off being a pipe fitter. You busted out in the amateur scene. You busted out in the regional scene. I mean, you drove your big ass dually all the way to Savannah.
That's right.
Pro fights. Came home with just a couple $100. You stick in with it day in, day out. You did all these sacrifices. What would it mean to be able to get a UFC contract?
Man, I made a post about this recently on my Instagram, and the caption was along the lines of saying, actually making my dreams come true. Aside from making my dreams come true, there was a point in my life where I didn't have a dream to accomplish. There was nothing I was shooting for. I was kind of just going through the motions. And I found this sport. I found my family. I found my team. And I developed a dream. I developed, the desire to accomplish something great and make a real impact with my life. And I'm 2 weeks away from making it happen, from truly accomplishing my dreams, from really touching the stars. Something that seemed completely out of touch with reality to accomplish it has become 2 weeks away from actually happening. So it's no shortage of saying a dream come true is what it would mean to go out there, finish this fight in front of Dana White, and get this contract and become a UFC fighter.
What would it mean to celebrate that with Jake, Pops, and Joel in Vegas?
Hey, if I celebrating it with them, I could go to the grave content, regardless of what happened, regardless of whether I accomplish anything else, man. Like I could throw my hands up and say, man, I did it. I've done it. I've brought back the slightest amount of glory to my team, the guys that changed my life. I've done a small thing to show them how much I appreciate the gifts that they helped me nurture, to become who I am and do what I did. And like I said, that 4 minute mile, showing all the guys that's coming behind me, they can do it too. Regardless of what I do after that, I'm good. My work's done, All
right, Malcolm, last question for you. In a perfect world, what is the outcome on August 27th when you take on Adam Bramhall in the Dana White Contender Series?
On August 27th, the perfect outcome, for my fight with Adam Bramhall is a devastating first round knockout in front of Dana White, that makes him stand up, makes his jaw drop, makes him put his hands together, and him give me a fight contract. I'll be signing it the next morning with my team at Iridium.
Malcolm, thank you for hopping on here with me this afternoon. Sorry to take you so long, but I figure, it's going to be the last time we talk before this big moment in your career. So I figured let's go as in depth with it as possible. But, we become really good friends over this. I wish you nothing but the best, man. I'm so excited to watch you fight. And
thank you. I can't wait. I appreciate you, man. Love.
Yes, sir. Well, that's Malcolm Wellmaker. I'm Carl Perusa. Come back next time, fight fans.